Hi guys, welcome back to English with Max. In this video, we're going to look at several ways that you can improve your pronunciation for free. Yes, that's right. If you have access to the internet, you do not need to pay money to improve your pronunciation. Now remember, having good pronunciation doesn't mean having a perfect accent. There is nothing wrong with having a foreign accent, and it is very rare for an adult learner to lose their native accent entirely. What you should aim for is simply clear pronunciation so that people can understand you easily. Before we get started, make sure you click that big red subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos. Remember that you can also follow me on social media, and if you'd like to sign up for my free advanced English email lessons, you'll find the link in the description. If you'd like to learn to express yourself better, I also have a video course on Udemy about common mistakes made by non-native speakers. If you're interested in that, or you'd like to receive my special discount, you'll also find the link in the description. Okay, and now pronunciation. My first tip is to make the most of YouTube. Before you make the decision to spend hundreds of dollars on a course or a program, I really recommend that you take advantage of all of the content that exists on YouTube. Many English teachers make free pronunciation videos. In case you're not sure which types of videos to watch, I'm going to give you a list of the main pronunciation topics you should look for if you really want to cover your bases, so to speak. I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm not going to explain each one. I'm basically just going to give you a checklist. If you don't know what some of these terms mean, they are very easy to find if you Google them. Firstly, if you haven't done so already, you need to learn the individual sounds. The technical name for sounds in this context is phonemes, but don't worry about that. Basically, you need to learn the consonant sounds and the vowel sounds. In both standard British English and standard American English, people generally say that there are 24 consonant sounds. Most people agree that there are 20 vowel sounds in standard British English, and in American English, well, people say different things, but there are about 15 vowel sounds. You don't need to learn both British and American vowel sounds, but it's a good idea to learn one set of vowel sounds. Next, you should learn about reductions. That includes learning about contractions and strong and weak forms of words. I have several videos on those topics. I'll link them in the description. Another thing you can look for is connected speech. There are a few topics which come under connected speech. The main ones are linking, elision, intrusion, and assimilation. Don't worry, if you Google those or if you look for them on YouTube, you'll find explanations. These technical words make them sound a lot more complicated than they actually are. Finally, I recommend watching some videos on intonation. I'm going to put the links to some YouTube channels in the description which all have good pronunciation videos. Now I'm going to say something which might be a little controversial, and some English teachers might not like me for saying this, but it's my opinion. If you do want to spend money on improving your pronunciation, I don't recommend buying an expensive online course. If you want to spend, I don't know, $10 to $20 on a website like Udemy because it's more convenient than looking for videos on YouTube, I think that's fine. But some online pronunciation courses cost a few $100s. If you're willing to invest that type of money in your pronunciation, I actually think it's better to pay for a few classes with a private teacher who's specialized in pronunciation, because they will be able to tell you exactly what you need to focus on. So to recap, use the free resources on YouTube and on other websites, and if you want to spend some money, pay for a few private lessons. My second tip is to learn the International Phonetic Alphabet for English. If you want. The reason I say if you want is because some teachers say that students absolutely need to learn it, and some teachers say that it's a waste of time. I'm in the middle because I know that some students find it very helpful, but I also know that it's possible to learn English very well without learning it. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, the IPA is a system for writing down sounds. You know those strange symbols that you sometimes see in dictionaries? Those are part of the IPA. If you do decide to learn it, you don't need to learn the entire thing, just the symbols for British English or American English. Learning these symbols can make it easier to use dictionaries. If you're somebody who's very methodical about things, or if you like things like maths and formulas, there's a good chance that you will like learning the IPA, or that it will suit your learning style. But like I said, you don't need to learn it, and most online dictionaries these days have audio files for individual words, so it's not so important if you don't understand all those phonetic symbols. My third tip is don't underestimate the importance of stress. I'm not talking about getting worried or anxious about something like, oh my god, I have a driving test. No, I'm talking about the weight that you put on an individual syllable in a word. If a syllable is stressed, we say it a bit louder and for a bit longer. And here's a little secret. In English, correct stress is often more important than pronouncing all the sounds correctly. To give you an example of how important stress is in English, let's look at this word. This is 50. If you say 50, people will probably think you're saying 15. Okay, this word is 50, and this word is 15. Here's another example. This word is important. The stress is on the second syllable. Important. If you put the stress on the first syllable and say impotent, well, that means something else. So yes, when you learn a new word in English, make sure you learn where the stress is. The fourth way that you can improve your pronunciation is to slow down. Speak more slowly. Non-native speakers sometimes try to speak very quickly because they think that it makes them sound more fluent. But fluency isn't the same as speed. And there are even some native speakers who actually speak quite slowly. Another reason why people sometimes speak too quickly is because they might be used to speaking quite quickly in their native language, so it just feels natural to speak quickly in a foreign language. Believe me, I've experienced that myself, so I know that it can be frustrating. However, if we speak too quickly, we often make more mistakes than usual, both grammatical and pronunciation mistakes, and it can be more difficult for people to understand us. So if you're somebody who often speaks quickly, what I recommend is slowing down and aiming for clarity instead of speed. Now I'm going to talk about 3 exercises which I already discussed in another video. That's this video here. So I'm going to go through them quite quickly. The first one is reading out loud. This simply means taking a text and saying the words that you're reading. This is a good way to exercise the muscles in your mouth because when we speak a foreign language, we're often using different parts of our mouth. I have 2 pieces of advice if you choose to do this. The first one is don't whisper. Whispering means speaking in a very soft voice. Do it at a normal speaking volume because, believe me, whispering is not the same as speaking. Often when we whisper, we imagine sounding a certain way, and then when we actually speak, what comes out of our mouths sounds different. So yes, be loud and strong. My second piece of advice is read easy texts. Basically, make sure that you already know how to pronounce all of the words, because if you don't, you risk mispronouncing things and learning the incorrect pronunciation for words. So, choose simple texts. The next exercise is imitation. This is a very simple exercise. All you need to do is get a piece of clear audio, play it for a few seconds, then pause it, and then repeat what the person said. Again, out loud, no whispering. It's probably better if the person is a native speaker. You can use a YouTube video, a podcast, a TV series, a movie, it doesn't matter. It's probably better if you use a podcast or a YouTube video because normally there's less background noise and there aren't so many periods where there's nobody talking. The next exercise is shadowing. This is very similar to imitation, but instead of pausing the audio to repeat what was said, you don't pause it. You just repeat exactly what is being said at the same time. Obviously, there'll be a very short delay, but probably no more than a second. This is usually easier if you do it with headphones. Another thing you can do is record yourself. I know most of us hate the sound of our own voice, but often we don't know exactly how we sound unless we record ourselves. And nowadays it's very easy because we can do it with a smartphone. When I studied interpreting, we were often encouraged to record ourselves, even if we were speaking our native language. Generally, that wasn't for pronunciation, it was mainly to see if we had any bad habits that we weren't aware of, such as saying or you know too often. In any case, the same principle applies to pronunciation. If you record yourself and then listen to yourself, it should be easier to work out which things you perhaps need to practice. And now we have tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are groups of words that are difficult to pronounce quickly all together. Often they have the same sound repeated several times. For example, Betty Botter bought a bit of butter. Or, she sells seashells by the seashore. This is just a way to exercise the muscles in your mouth that you're perhaps not used to using. When I was learning Spanish, I really struggled with the rolled R. I still can't do it perfectly, but it's definitely better than when I first moved to Spain. One tongue twister that I sometimes practiced was El perro de San Roque no tiene rabo, porque Ramón Ramírez se lo ha cortado. Yes, you can laugh at me if you want. Like I said, it's still not perfect, but that's life. My final suggestion for improving your pronunciation is singing. I don't actually have much to say about this because it's not something I ever did and I'm not a good singer, but I know that this is a way that some people improve their pronunciation. If you decide to learn some songs for this purpose, I recommend choosing slower songs and preferably songs that don't have too much slang. That's it, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know in the comments if there are specific things which have helped you with your pronunciation, and also let me know what you think about learning the IPA. Do you think it's a waste of time, or do you think it's rather useful? Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you liked the video, and I'll see you next time. Loud and strong. When we... Oh, my stomach's rumbling. This is a good idea. In case you're not sure, the neighbours. Why do people need to mow their lawns? A good